when Vince was under investigation, and Vince kind of, his thought process was, well, if the federal government spends this much money to try and nail me for something, whether they've got a strong case or not, even if it's a weak case, when they spend that kind of money, they're going to get some pound of flesh for what they invested. So Vince kind of just thought, having said all that, I might end up getting found guilty of something, not because I am guilty, just because it's tough to fight the federal government with all of their resources and all their power. And he used to talk with Pat and I, and he'd say, hey, if they, you never know in a court of law, and with their resources and what have you, if I end up, they find me guilty of something, and I have to do time, you and Pat, talking to us collectively, said you'd have to come up business days and bring your legal pad and pencil, and we'll take notes, and you guys are going to have to keep the ball rolling. And we just used to, yeah, sure, Vince, yeah. And then it was like looking for some insurance. And I told Vince, I said, there's one guy who, all my years of all the places that I've gone and people, I know most of the who's who of our business. And I said, there's one guy who has done everything that you have done, Vince, though on a much, much smaller scale. And that was Jarrett. Because he had been a talent. He had been a booker. He understood that. He understood television production, understood all aspects, and had been very successful. And I said, if there's a guy who you temporarily were on hiatus, he's the one guy that I would say could come in, and there's nobody out there that can replace you. But there's one guy that has the credentials to be able to keep things going until you could get back in and take the reins again. And he said, call him and have him call me. That resulted in about 3 multi-hour conversations between Vince and Jarrett. Then Vince said, call Jerry, I would like him to come up and stay at the house with me for, I think he stayed there for over a month. And then finally, Vince said, put Jerry under contract.